Hello everyone, today is 24th of July, now it's 20 to 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. And there are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment, although before I start, let me thank all of you, dear friends, for your attention and support. Thanks to you, yesterday's live stream managed to break through YouTube's algorithm somehow and reach a wider audience. And as a result, yesterday's live stream is most viewed video on my YouTube channel right now. I can give you exact numbers. So for this moment, yesterday's live stream has 67,000 views, more than 67,000 views, and number is increasing. As a result of this breakthrough, more than 1,000 new members joined our community, and I welcome everyone. Thank you all for subscribing, for your attention. I hope you will find this channel and my work interesting and will stay here with us in this tiny but very friendly community. So thank you all, dear friends. Thank you. You made my day yesterday. I was shocked, truly, especially now, because last several weeks YouTube's algorithm was suppressing my channel big time, like never before. So to see this this breakthrough of live stream, that was quite something. And dear friends, today my second update will be also during the live stream about 3 o'clock Moscow time, middle of the day, and in case you want to highlight some topic or if you have a question, I will definitely react on it if you will send it through Patreon, Boosty or PayPal. This way, I mean, you can support my work, and I can do my best to give you as informative answer or commentary as I can, and same time you can highlight some topic that you think is necessary. So yes, that's been said. Let's talk about news now. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. Let's go sector by sector, from southern sectors up to northern ones. There was no reports about some crucial changes on Kherson direction. It's a daily routine, artillery duels between the sides, drone wars, long-range Russian strikes, including by Air Force, aerospace forces, and of course, battles for local-scale skirmishes for control over the islands on the Dnieper River and in the delta of the river. Also, no crucial changes were reported about Zaporozhye region, Zaporozhye direction. But when it comes to South Donetsk sector, we have some significant update, because many channels are reporting now that Russian troops managed to further advance between Konstantinovka and Ugledar settlements and cut this 00532 main supply and support line, this highway that is connecting Konstantinovka with Ugledar. Russian forces established direct control, and this map, by the way, did not acknowledge this, but pro-Ukrainian maps already considering this territory under full Russian control, not just under control of sabotage groups, but under control of regular forces, which is definitely a big development, because if this is the case, then I guess we are nearing in to main battles for Ugledar city, and also probably we are about to see significant activization of the Russian forces in Konstantinovka direction towards this settlement. So significant developments there. Also, when it comes to southern flank of Donetsk sector, main hotspot is of course Krasnogorovka here, and Russian forces are improving on daily basis their positions in this direction. And right now, as you can see on this map, Kiev regime forces are in control of 5 to 10% of territory of the Krasnogorovka maximum. Just a little corner, by the way, here, just a little corner, and that's it really, and that's it. Possibly before end of this week, Russian forces will establish control over the Krasnogorovka, full control. And I remind you, if I may, that Krasnogorovka is one of the most capable strongholds, or used to be one of the most capable strongholds of the Kiev regime after Avdiivka on Donetsk sector. And as you can see there, this town is almost under full Russian control now. Just a little bit, and it will be liberated completely. Also, yesterday, by the way, unfortunately, Kiev regime managed to shut down Russian Su-25 attack plane on Avdiivka direction. There was different reports. Some were suggesting that it was New York direction, but some others are suggesting that it was direction of their Avdiivka. I shared video on my Telegram channel. Many of you probably see when two Russian Su-25s were flying on a low altitude, and their Kiev regime's sabotage group, as I understand, opened fire on a plane with a manpad, and unfortunately they were successful. Pilot managed to eject from the plane and reach Russian positions, so he's safe now. And after little recovery, because ejection from the plane on a high speed, of course, it's always causes some stress on the body. But after a little recovery, pilot will get to his unit and will continue to fly and conduct sorties. Also, but this is a high intensity conflict, by the way. Unfortunately, things like that happened. Also, dear friends, we have information about further progress of Russian armed forces in Chisovia direction. After relative operational pause in this direction, when Russian troops established control over the Canal district on the eastern side of Seversky Donetsk-Donbass channel, now we are receiving reports that Russian troops are increasing activity once again, and reports are coming in that eastern part of Kalinina is under full Russian control, and Russian forces are now crossing the Seversky Donetsk-Donbass channel, and they're conducting operations to establish control over the western part of this settlement, which is located on the western side of this channel. Also, Russian troops are conducting operations towards Grigorievka. This direction was relatively calm for a while, but now we have reports that Russian troops are conducting operations towards Grigorievka also. Yesterday, I reported that Russian Defense Ministry confirmed the information that Ivano-Darievka on Seversk direction is under full Russian control. Relatively small settlement. If we zoom in, you can see it's just several buildings, few streets, but it is very important settlement at this point in terms of military operation, because from Ivano-Darievka, basically, you have a straight line towards Seversk without any settlements being on your path, just some strongholds of Kiev regime. These blue lines, by the way, are marking strongholds of the Kiev regime. Although, before we see military operations towards Seversk itself. I guess Russian forces will try to establish control over their Novoselovka settlement, Verkhnya Kamenskaya settlement. Also, Russian forces will most likely continue their offensive operations from Razdolovka towards Fyodorovka, Pereznaya, and Kuzminovka. Zvanovka, these settlements on outskirts of Seversk, but we are closing in. We are closing in to the point when Seversk itself will become a hotspot on the line of contact. When it comes to Kupiansk sector of the front line, yesterday there was some confusion, yesterday and the day before, because some channels start reporting that Sinkovka settlement is under full Russian control. I was a little surprised and in disbelief that Sinkovka was liberated this unexpectedly, because this direction is relatively calm nowadays. Relatively, by the way, operations are conducted constantly, obviously, but there was no massive offensives towards Sinkovka, and therefore I had some doubts about these reports. I did not even mention it on my Telegram or my updates, and well, that information ended up to be an early call. Although Russian troops definitely are preparing ground to conduct their final push towards Sinkovka, and we have reports from some Russian military experts that Kyiv regime, because of this significant deterioration of their situation for Kyiv regime forces in Kupiansk direction, are now deploying reserve forces, including towards Sinkovka, to somehow stabilize front line. It will not help Zelensky and his associates. It will not help Kyiv regime's forces, obviously, but they are going to try. And when it comes to northern parts of Kharkov region, where Russian army is creating buffer zone for the last couple of months, well, if you remember, dear friends, some time ago, quite a number of military experts were predicting sectoral scale offensive operation of the Kyiv regime, because they managed to accumulate in this direction up to, according to some reports, up to 90,000 military personnel. And some experts were even suggesting that Kyiv regime will be able to not just regain control over the lost territories in this buffer zone, but also to cross the border and invade Belgorod region. And when I was seeing those reports, I mean, I was kind of frustrated, because I was thinking, these experts are coming from what? I mean, what reasons they have to make such conclusions? Because after all, I'm also monitoring on daily basis reports about this conflict, and my understanding of the situation was that there is no way Kyiv regime will be able to regain initiative on any of the directions. And if you remember, there was a point when Kyiv regime was actively trying to regain control over the Glubokaya settlement, for example, on the western flank of this buffer zone. And some experts were saying it was just a matter of time, and of course Kyiv regime, Russian troops will withdraw in Glubokaya, and Kyiv regime will establish control over this territory. And I was skeptical of it. I was saying there is no way this is happening. And well, I guess my reading of the big picture was correct, and Kyiv regime not just didn't manage to regain control over their entire buffer zone or invade their Belgorod region, but they were unable even to regain control over the Glubokaya. And yesterday, some sources start reporting that Kyiv regime forces finally dropped their attempts to force Russian troops out of Glubokaya and start retreating from this area. And during these battles for Glubokaya, by the way, Kyiv regime sacrificed at least 3 or 4 battalions. If we combine casualties on Kyiv regime's side in Glubokaya area alone. So initiative, of course, in Russian hands all along the front line, and it will stay this way. I said many times before, and I will repeat myself, that there is not even slight chance that Kyiv regime will be able to regain initiative on any of the directions on the line of contact. That's it. Now let's continue with some additional news. And dear friends, in the beginning of this update, I mentioned yesterday's live stream that managed to break through YouTube's algorithms barriers thanks to your attention and support. And I think one of the reasons also why that video was successful in terms of attention that it received, successful for my channel, because I understand 67,000 views are not that much for bigger channels, but for my channel it's a big deal. And I think one of the reasons that video achieved success is news that I shared in that video about statements of Spanish retired Colonel Pedro Banos, who said that as a result of one of the recent Russian strikes, missile strikes in Odessa region, up to 18 British SAS members and French militaries were killed, and also another 25 British SAS members were wounded. And in the comment section, I see, and as you know, I'm trying to read as many comments as possible, and as I can, I mean, time-wise. And I see in comments many people were surprised to hear that British troops were involved in this conflict this directly. And I mentioned yesterday that this is not even the first instance when SAS is taking casualties. There was several reports earlier in 2023, for example, about killed SAS servicemen. That was, there was some exchange of killed personnel, and Russian side transferred to Kyiv regime bodies of SAS, killed SAS soldiers. That was reports, by the way, and at one instance, even Wagner PMC was participating in it, and one of the Wagner PMC's leading members was talking about it in an interview, even on video. I cannot remember, it was Prigozhin or someone else, maybe Prigozhin. It's a long time since then. So this is definitely not the first instance when French or British military personnel was killed. After all, relatively recently, several months ago, there was a Russian missile strike in Kharkiv direction, during which some 70 French military personnel was killed and dozens were wounded, right? Although I guess this information that was highlighted in headlines also bring attention to that video. And in the comment section, many people were arguing who is this Spanish colonel, how he knows what happened in Odessa region. And well, he was asked, by the way, to confirm this information. He spoke with his source, and source confirmed, this information was double checked, as I understand, and source confirmed once again. And of course, this colonel cannot disclose his sources. And we all know that, I mean, there are many people in that have sources, different sources, especially people that are in journalism or in the military, right? And I can give you an example. Scott Ritter and US military expert Scott Ritter and Colonel Douglas McGregor were talking about huge casualties on part of Kyiv regime in terms of military personnel way before Russian Defense Ministry even said anything about it. If I'm not mistaken, it was Scott Ritter and McGregor who said that Kyiv regime already lost about 500,000 military personnel, when Russian Defense Ministry did not say nothing about it. So how they knew? And they were correct, by the way. They were correct. They had many They shared many other information earlier, and they were correct also. So how they know it? Maybe because they have sources that they're not gonna disclose, because that's how it works, right? So I guess this Spanish colonel also has sources that he will not disclose. But me personally, I don't really have doubts that French and British military personnel are directly involved in this conflict and suffered significant casualties. So let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that, Russian military expert Andrei Marochko, during their interview with the TASS news agency, shared information about deployment of reserves of Kiev regime forces in Kupiansk sector, in direction of Kondrashovka, Petropavlovka, and Sinkovka. I just spoke about it, so this information confirmed there on the level of military experts. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that according to Russian underground or pro-Russian partisans, yesterday Russian armed forces conducted successful strike on military airfield of Kiev regime in Nikolaev region, in area of Martinovka airfield in Voznesensk. And as a result of this strike, there was a huge explosions, massive fire that was not extinguished even after like 5 or 6 hours, because yesterday late evening I shared video on my Telegram channel where you can see, video was made from moving car, and on a distance there is still bright light from that fire. So probably this airfield suffered significant damage. And according to Russian underground, according to Sergei Lebedev, coordinator of the Russian underground or pro-Russian partisans in Nikolaev region, in this airfield, Kiev regime was training its pilots. Usually, one military plane was always on that, actively using that airfield, and there was also several non-combat aircrafts that were used by Kiev regime for training purposes, and maybe those planes were destroyed. Although there is no additional information, what we can confirm visually is that there was a strike, there was explosions and fire that Kiev regime was unable to extinguish for many hours, maybe until now. RT is also reporting about number of Ukrainians that are open to territorial concessions to end their hostilities. So number of Ukrainians willing to make territorial concessions to Moscow in exchange for peace has tripled over the past year, according to a recent poll by the Kiev International Institute of Sociology. The survey released on Tuesday shows that 32% of respondents said they believe that for the sake of achieving peace as soon as possible and preserving its independence, Ukraine could relinquish some of its territories, compared to just 10% who said the same in May 2023. Unfortunately, some 55% according to this survey, some 55% of citizens of Ukraine are against any territorial concessions. Although, by the way, if you take into account fear that people are living under in Kiev-controlled territory, fear that they may be prosecuted or something might happen to them if they will any way, shape or form oppose regime's propaganda. If you consider that, then one may say that 55% that is during the survey said that they are against any territorial concessions, at least half of those people probably said it because of the fear. And in my understanding, real number of citizens of Ukraine that want to end this conflict, even if significant territorial concessions will be necessary, are much higher. Probably 60%, 70%, if not more, by the way, because Seems like, with the exception of Western Ukraine, maybe, on the rest of the Kyiv-controlled territory, people are sick and tired of Zelensky's regime and everything that they did to people itself and to Ukraine. That's my take on this. RT is also reporting about statement of Zelensky that he is all for ending this conflict as soon as possible. Lately, Zelensky starts, is making some statements that goes against all the narratives that he was pushing previously. Clearly, something is happening there. Clearly, something is happening. And it's not just advances of Russian forces and active and effective demilitarization of the Kyiv regime formations, but also probably some changes in the West, in the attitude of the West towards Zelensky personally, towards his regime and Ukraine. And after all, presidential elections are soon to be held in US, and Trump, former president of US, may become president again, and it seems like Trump and his running mate Vance, JD Vance, they are not really that keen to continue this constant escalation with Moscow, with this proxy war. So maybe Zelensky is trying to lay down ground for his exit from Ukraine. And I believe many people in his inner circle also doing the same. But anyway, let's go through this news. Ukraine would like their fighting with Russia to end as quickly as possible to stop the loss of lives. Vladimir Zelensky has stated. The Ukrainian leader was speaking with the Cardinal Pedro Parolin, the Vatican's Secretary of State, visiting Kyiv. Zelensky thanked the Holy See for a strong signal of support to Ukraine. I think all of us understand that we have to finish the war as soon as possible, of course, not to lose people's lives. Zelensky said in English, according to the video posted on his Telegram channel, and I shared that video, by the way, on my Telegram also. Many of you probably see it. Well, this is interesting. Point is that if Zelensky wants to end this conflict as soon as possible, he can accept a very generous peace offer from the Russian president. Recent one, like Russian president announced this offer like 3 weeks ago, about months ago. And initially, Zelensky and his Western masters rejected this offer. They didn't even start considering discussion around it. But yet again, this, as far as I understand, at least for now, this offer is open still. And if Zelensky is genuine and if he wants to end hostilities, then he can accept offer from a Russian president. And I remind you, dear friends, that in that roadmap to peace, President said that, Russian side will end hostilities, military operations, as soon as Kyiv regime starts withdrawing its forces from new Russian regions, that being Kherson, Zaporozhye regions, Donetsk People's Republic and Lugansk People's Republic. When there will be confirmation that Kyiv regime forces are withdrawing, Russian side will stop hostilities and allow Kyiv regime to withdraw its forces safely. After that, meaningful dialogue may start. And of course, to achieve a long-standing peace, Kyiv regime has to recognize a jurisdiction of the Russia over these new regions of the Russian Federation, Crimea and Sevastopol, or Sevastopol and Crimea, Zaporozhye, Kherson regions, DPR and LPR. And then community, once Kyiv will recognize Russian jurisdiction over these territories, then world community will do the same. And Western collective West has to demolish all the sanctions that they impose on Russia, all those illegal sanctions. That was Russian proposal, very generous one, because this proposal allows Zelensky and his criminal associates to save tens of thousands of lives, if not hundreds of thousands of lives of people, citizens of Ukraine, that they are forcefully mobilizing to send to the front line and sacrifice for geopolitical agenda of the West. And same time, this offer allows Kyiv regime to save or maintain statehood of Ukraine, to maintain Ukraine as a state on the political map. So, I mean, I don't think there can be any more generous offer than that, based on objective reality on the ground. But yet again, I don't think Zelensky is genuine. I don't think he is even able to make any serious decisions on this matter. Probably it's Washington and London that have to authorize this kind of activity from Kyiv. So therefore, we can say whatever we want about these statements of Zelensky, but I don't think conflict will end anytime soon, unfortunately. Vzglyad newspaper is reporting about statement of head of British ground forces about some upcoming war. This is kind of tradition nowadays in collective West, when every other day some high-ranking official, politician or military have to come up with these threats that war is coming, and what we're gonna do, and run, everybody run. some panic statements. They are trying to scare hell out of people, and one may understand why, because if you scare society, then people would not start asking questions as much about your actions, about spendings, for example, on different directions, including military spendings, including spendings on some proxy wars and so on. And I translated this information, by the way, to give you more precisely what he said. So Western countries need to prepare for a war in 3 years, aiming rising international tensions, said Chief of the General Staff of British Army, General Relay Walker. The Guardian newspaper reports Walker is based on Walker is based on the alleged growing threat to Taiwan from China and Iran's nuclear development. He believes that the conflict with one of these countries or with Russia could lead to significant detonation in other threats of military operations. Thus reports Volker also stated that Britain intends to double its combat power within 3 years and triple it by the end of the decade. This guy has good fantasies, isn't it? He should write some books, man, or some scenarios for Hollywood, because I mean, first of all, let's start from doubling and tripling British military capabilities. I mean, this is nonsensical. This is not happening, because you cannot double and triple military capabilities in a couple of years' time. It's just not happening like that. That's first of all, and these generals should know better. And secondly, where is the evidence that there's gonna be some war in global South? He mentioned Taiwan, isn't it? What evidences he has? If Western ruling class will not provoke, will not use Taiwan as a proxy, like they did with Ukraine, to conduct proxy war against China, then I don't think Taiwanese leadership is that crazy to initiate conflict, military conflict with China. And when it comes to Beijing, Beijing was always very clear that it has no reasons to conduct military operation to reunite Taiwan with the mainland China, because they have all the time they need. Beijing has all the time they need, and they can wait, by the way. They have patience. They can wait and reconcile with Taiwan like they did with for example, Hong Kong, right? So if Western ruling class is not going to provoke war, between Taiwan and mainland China, there will be no war there. And this general also mentioned Iran's nuclear program. What Iran's nuclear program? This is second time, by the way, in last few days when high-ranking official in the West is talking about Iran's nuclear program, while they are providing no evidences at all, by the way. Not a single piece of evidence that Iran is working on to create nuclear weapons. Iran has a peaceful nuclear program. They are generating. Iran has nuclear power station. It generates electricity for public use. Iran has experimental nuclear reactors. Iranian scientists are working on these fields, and they are good at it. But when it comes, and this is all civilian stuff, by the way. What evidence is Washington or London has that Iran is creating nuclear bomb? I mean, there are too much talks about it, isn't it? But what real evidences they have? None. So yet again, this general is lying, straight lying. And I already said that this idea of doubling and tripling combat capabilities of British armed forces in just few years' time. By the way, I mean, this is crazy, man. And this person is let me give you his position once again: Chief of the General Staff of British Army, man. I mean, I feel sorry for UK, by the way. If you have generals like that that are leading your armed forces, I mean, sorry, dear friends, but you should. I mean, I will say you don't really have an army at all. Because what the hell, man? What this general is talking about? I don't know. And also, let's continue. With this quite interesting news, dear friends. Many times I see comments under my updates when people are asking how much being paid to in Russian army for contractors when people are signing contracts. And yesterday, many media outlets, but also Interfax, published this information that Muscovites, for example, if they will sign contract with armed forces, they will during the year they will have a salary and bonuses about 5.2 million rubles, and when they will sign a contract as a one payment, as a single payment, direct one, they will receive 1.9 million rubles. Straight away, once they sign contract, they are receiving 1.9 million rubles. But in a year of service in army, they will receive 5.2 million rubles, which is about 60,000 US dollars. Approximately, currently, exchange rate, by the way, is, let me give you exact number, 87 rubles for $1. So you can do math on that. I believe it's about 60,000 a year, which is quite significant amount, by the way. I mean, of course, people are risking their lives, their health, so therefore they deserve high salaries, undoubtedly. So I don't think anybody has any issues with that. And it's a good salary, by the way. In terms of Russia, $60,000 a year. It's a good salary, even for Moscow. And I guess $60,000 a month is a year. Sorry, is a good salary in many European states also, and even in US. Maybe not be the best, of course. You may not be middle class with this salary in the US, for example. But it's in Europe, in Russia, it's a good salary. So that's my answer. And dear friends, this is of course Moscow itself. Moscow as a region is adding some bonuses to this sum, but every other region does the same. So approximately I will say If recruits from Moscow will receive 5.2 million, then recruits from let's say Yekaterinburg, for example, one of the big towns, big cities of Russia in Siberia, recruits from Yekaterinburg probably will receive at least 3.5-4 million rubles a year, maybe more, I guess. So 3 to 4 million probably are average income of the Russian military who signed a contract with the army. Although Moscow, as being the richest region of the Russian Federation, can add some bonuses, obviously, much more than other regions can. And the Muscovites will make 5.2 million at least. For service in Russian army in a year. Interesting news, isn't it? RIA Novosti is also reporting that in Vladivostok, Vietnamese warship arrived as a friendly working visit, and of course Vietnamese sailors will Russian side prepared some interesting program for Vietnamese sailors, so they will get to know Russia better, they will get to know Vladivostok better, so they're gonna enjoy their time in the city. And also, by the way, Chinese warship yesterday entered St. Petersburg also with friendly working visit, and well, Chinese sailors I'm quite sure gonna enjoy program that Russian side prepared for them as a gesture of hospitality. So they also gonna enjoy their stay in St. Petersburg, one of the most beautiful cities in this world, of course. It is good, by the way. It is good to see increased cooperation between Russia and countries of the global south. Great. And also, RIA Novosti is reporting that Japan Express issued a protest to Russia because Russian side imposed sanctions on a number of Japanese citizens, including heads of Japanese huge corporations. And this is a retaliatory measure, by the way. This is retaliatory measure from Russian side because of the actions, anti-Russian actions of the Tokyo. But for somehow, by the way, and I always wonder what kind of thought process is going on in the heads of these high-ranking officials in anti-Russian coalition, when for Japan it is okay if they will impose sanctions on Russia, but when Russia does the same, they start whining about, but why, why you did this to us and stuff. I mean, what the hell is wrong with these people, man? You are acting you are behaving hostile towards Russia, and you expect Russia to do nothing about it. I mean, where this arrogance and inadequacy coming from in among these so-called political elites of the collective West, including Japan, by the way? I don't know, but this is strange, isn't it? This is really, really strange stuff, man. Okay, they can whine as much as they want. It will change nothing. If Japan will start acting properly, then Russia will do the same towards Japan. Russia will conduct friendly policies, but if Japan wants to be hostile towards Russia, then what they are expecting, for God's sake, And dear friends, before I continue, let me notice, if I may, that this small media project of mine with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, is completely subscriber funded, and I will be immensely grateful if you will also consider to support my work and this project with donations through PayPal or Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page, on which I have some extra content on regular basis, and I have a page on Boosty also, and I share my videos, this extra content or bonus videos on Boosty also. This is my Patreon page. Yesterday late evening I uploaded a news summary, informal talk on both platforms, on Patreon and Boosty. I made video in a central part of Dimitrov here. It was like walk and talk type of video, news summary, and members of our community, according to comments, they find it interesting. I'm glad about it. So yes, I mean, if you can, please consider to subscribe. Right now our community on Patreon is 150. We managed to reach 150 thanks to new members. And if you can, please also consider to support, if you can support in longer terms, please consider to join our community on a Patreon. Subscription, monthly subscription starts from $5 a month, and then you can choose, of course, level of support that you can provide. $5 a month, 10, 20, it's all up to you. So that's been said, all the links, of course, to PayPal, Boosty, Patreon are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And also I have crypto wallets, so you know, if you are good with crypto, then if you want to, of course, you can donate with crypto to. Oh, this is Boosty channel of mine, by the way. And, I'm basically posting almost the same videos on both platforms, although Patreon is much more developed, of course, because on Boosty I only have 6 Patreons, 6 subscribers that are supporting me financially. RT is reporting, let's continue now, and RT is reporting that Netanyahu requests meeting with Trump, and most likely he will have a meeting with Trump, because Trump commented on it, and he said that he's waiting for this meeting. He also said that if he is elected, he will end the wars and all that kind of stuff. So yes, most likely today Netanyahu will have a meeting with Trump, although according to schedule that was published, Netanyahu should have a meeting with Biden also, and he plans to give a speech before US lawmakers. Also interesting news from Interfax, by the way, that Hamas and Fatah, Palestinian movements, Hamas and Fatah, signed agreement about reconciliation, which is a big deal. I translated this news, so let's go through it. This is a bigger win on part of Chinese diplomacy once again, because this meeting and negotiations took place in China. So representatives of the Palestinian movements Hamas and Fatah parties signed an agreement in Beijing to end decades-long split and strengthen Palestinian unity. Associated Press reports, citing Chinese state media, the agency does not know the details of the agreement reached. The Chinese television, although reported, Chinese television CGTN reported on a social network that negotiations between Palestinian groups began in Beijing on July 21st, and on July 22nd representatives of Hamas and the Fatah, as well as 12 other Palestinian movements, met with the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Wang Yi welcomed the signing of the document and said that the parties thereby agreed to create a provisional government of national reconciliation after the end of hostilities in the Gaza Strip, Western media reported. Al Jazeera TV reported also that the agreement is aimed at preserving Palestinian authority in the Gaza Strip after the end of hostilities. There we all know a strict position of Israel that Hamas is no way is staying in charge in the Gaza Strip, and this achievement, this reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas will allow Fatah to retake control over their Gaza Strip if Israel allows. And Fatah is, of course, is in charge in the West Bank right now. And well, split between the two, between Hamas and Fatah, happened in 2007 when Hamas achieved victory in Gaza Strip, and then there was a military conflict between the Fatah armed groups and Hamas armed groups, and Hamas achieved victory in Gaza Strip. They forced Fatah supporters out, and Fatah achieved victory in West Bank, and they forced Hamas supporters out. So that's how this Palestinian political leadership get divided into these two. When one is controlling West Bank, another was in control of Gaza Strip. So as I said, significant development, and I will say even breakthrough, because yet again, since 2007, Fatah and Hamas were in hostile towards each other positions, and well done to Chinese diplomacy, I will say. They surprised world when they managed to bring together Iran and Saudi Arabia. It was last year, isn't it? And well, they surprised world now also, because they bring together these confronting parties of Palestine, Fatah and Hamas. So yes, man, Chinese diplomacy is doing some big stuff. RIA Novosti is reporting that Biden appeared in public first time in last 5 or 6 days, and many people were starting to ask questions. Where is the Biden? What has happened to him? There was rumors and speculations that he had a stroke or some serious medical condition. Secret Service was noticed in one of the medical facilities in Las Vegas, and that also become reason for additional some theories about Biden's whereabouts. And well, he appeared yesterday. He did not look in the best shape. Even consider his age, he was kind of lost. According to video that I see, it was like, it seemed to me that he was lost, but he is alive. He is definitely alive, and according to some reports, he is planning to give a speech today, televised speech, and explain his decision to refuse to continue this presidential race. Also, by the way, TASS News Agency is reporting that according to a social study that was conducted by Ipsos, 44% of electorate in US will support Kamala Harris, or supporting Kamala Harris right now, and only 42% is in support of Donald Trump. This was reported by Reuters, by the way. And well, I really find it difficult to believe in this, believe that this information is correct. Maybe there was some dodgy stuff done by Ipsos, and Reuters is participating in this, because there is no way Kamala Harris has more support than Trump, by the way. I refuse to believe in this, man. She barely can speak relatively complex statements, I mean sentences. She cannot grasp her mind around some relatively complex sentences. And she is receiving some 44% of support of people to be president of US. Did people had not enough of Biden? They want her Biden 2.0 now? I don't think so. So, I mean, take this information with a pinch of salt, by the way, or mountain of salt, but that's what Ipsos says, and that's what Reuters is reporting, and Russian media pay attention to this news. It seems to me unrealistic that 44% is in support of Kamala and only 42% in support of Trump. It does make no sense, but yet again, I don't live in US, so members of our community from US, they can share their take on the situation. Kommersant is also reporting that according to information of the Bloomberg media outlet from inner circle of the Trump, there is discussions now between Trump and his partners to increase to demand from NATO member states to spend about 3% of their GDP on defense instead of 2%. That previously Trump was demanding during his presidency. And well, this is a big deal. This is a big deal because European states were terrified of Trump because of this demand to spend 2% on the defense. But things change since then, isn't it? Western ruling class unfortunately successfully demonized Russia. They successfully provoked this proxy war against Russia by sacrificing Ukraine. This warmongering propaganda is done on daily basis in Western states. Many people are scared very much that war is coming, and therefore I guess technically it will be possible that NATO member states will allocate 3% of their GDPs for defense spendings, and it will pass. Public will most likely say nothing in majority of the NATO member states. So maybe Bloomberg is correct, and Trump and his associates are considering to make such demands once Trump is re-elected, if Trump is re-elected. Interesting. And also, by the way, eventually a US Secret Service director resigns because of this Trump shooting. So Kimberly Chittle has resigned as director of the US Secret Service after refusing to do so in the wake of the attempted assassination of the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. It is too late, isn't it? She should resign on the very first day. I mean, it's not even a question, right? Why she took so long to come up with this decision, I have no idea. She should do it on the first day, at least to save the face of the Secret Service. But she did not. Eventually, she was forced. There was a hearings in Congress or Senate in US when she was questioned, and people were very much not happy with her answers. Very much not happy with her answers, and well, now she is free. Now she is free. She can looking for a job in Walmart or something, as a security guard there. Why she even ever been appointed for this as director of Secret Service, by the way? For what? Is she like Navy SEAL or something? I don't know. RT is reporting that Russia to ramp up energy supplies to China, according to Deputy Prime Minister, which is interesting. So Russian gas export to China could reach 30 billion cubic meters this year via the Power of Siberia mega pipeline. Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak has stated the pipeline's operator Gazprom supplies natural gas to Russia's Asian neighbor under long-term contract. It's sealed with China's National Petroleum Corporation. The Power of Siberia is a part of 400 billion, by the way, 400 billion 30-year agreement between Gazprom and CMPC, which was clinched in 2014. Pipeline gas supplies are growing. Next year, we will reach 38 billion cubic meters. This is a contractual obligation, the maximum volume that we will reach under the contract, Novak told reporters on Tuesday. And by the way, because the Power of Siberia is reaching its maximum capacities, of course, and demand in China is increasing, of course, that will help both sides to reach an agreement on Power of Siberia 2 as soon as possible, because it is obvious that this Power of Siberia 2 pipeline has to be built, and sides should not spend time too much time on preparations of this project. I understand China wants to buy Russian gas as cheap as possible, but after all, they need Russian gas. Russia will sell gas in a competitive price, in a good price. It might even be a little less than a world price, price on the gas on the world market, but only a little cheaper, because it's a business. I mean, it's nothing personal, isn't it? It's a business. China needs this, and Russia can provide this energy. So I mean, I can understand that Chinese counterpart of Gazprom was trying to make this deal as profitable for itself as possible, and they will gain significantly from this project, and China will gain from it. But they have to pay. They have to pay proper price for Russian gas. Otherwise, Russia has no incentive to do this project at all. And Russia is working on a number of projects in LNG segment. So basically, Russia can transform natural gas to LNG and then sell it as LNG just about anywhere in this world, right? So I guess just give it a couple of more months, or maybe before the end of this year, sides will achieve agreement on Power Siberia 2, most likely. But anyways, let's continue. Interfax is reporting that Real Madrid, by the way, football club in US, football is called soccer or something. We call it football because it is football, by the way. And Real Madrid is the first club in history ever to make 1 billion euro a year. 1 billion euro a year. And Real is one of the biggest names in football, by the way, obviously. Real, Barcelona, of course, Man United, obviously, Liverpool, obviously, and I mean, Italy has a great clubs, by the way. Milan, Inter, Roma, Lazio at some point was on fire, by the way. Many Juventus, obviously, great clubs, but Real is the first to achieve this milestone, to make some billion a year, although this is not a pure profit, obviously. This is just money that Real received. Of course, significant percentage from here will compensate for spendings of Real during the year, but still it's impressive, isn't it? And when it comes to European clubs, by the way, I have to mention Ajax, of course. Ajax from Netherlands. I used to support Ajax big time when I was younger. And then when top players of Ajax went to play for Barcelona, including manager of Ajax, legendary manager, by the way. I cannot remember his name. I mean, so many years passed since then. So when Ajax players went to play for Barcelona, I started supporting Barcelona. And even now, if you ask me which club I support in Europe, I will say Barcelona. Yes. Real fans from our community didn't gonna like that, but you know. So yes, congratulations to Real, by the way. As I said, one of the greatest clubs in history of football. Great achievement. And RT is also reporting that on topic of sport, France is facing glut of unwanted Olympic tickets. According to Financial Times, over 270,000 tickets reportedly remained unsold ahead of 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. Well, 270,000 unsold tickets. Maybe this is not big number, but unfortunately for sportsmen, for athletes, first of all, I guess some events will be conducted under partially empty tribunes, but that's the life. Olympic Games are politicized, big time, ideologized. Countries are banned from Olympics exclusively because of some political decision-making process in the collective West. Russia and Belarus, for example. And therefore, it is understandable that people don't really care no more about Olympics. I certainly don't. And I would not watch opening ceremony. I would not watch closing ceremony. I would not watch nothing about these Olympics, by the way. I truly don't care. If Russian athletes were participating, that's a different story. I will watch sporting events that I like, and I will support Russian athletes, but now, nah. As long as the Olympic Games are this, and only International Olympic Committee is this politicized and indoctrinated in some crazy ideology of the globalists and the Western ruling class in general, I don't think her Olympic Games will regain popularity that it had decades ago. And this is it. Wow, quite a long update, isn't it? Quite a long update, although hopefully you will find it informative, interesting, and useful. And if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything, any topic. As you know, this is the only way we can influence algorithms somehow, and maybe this video will also manage to go through barriers that algorithm is creating. And if you like my work, if you like my channels, please consider to support. All the links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And before I go, dear friends, let me remind you that about 3 o'clock today in afternoon, 3 o'clock Moscow time, I will have a live stream, and I will share during the live stream additional news that will be reported by Russian media from now and before I start the live stream. And if you have a question or commentary that you want to highlight during the stream, you can send it through PayPal, Patreon, or Boosty, and I will definitely react on it. So yes, this is it for now. Have a great day and take care. Bye for now.